We're here in Alberta with Craig Rucker. He's the Executive Director of the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, CFACT. It's an environmental group with a free market view for fixing things. Craig, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Alex. It's a pleasure being here.
You gave a really great speech earlier about how to sell the idea of freedom and environmentalism at the same time. Could you give us just a little recap about that?
Absolutely. I don't look at it as selling. It's really just presenting the facts as they are. So far, the debate is kind of one between those who are represented as caring about the environment, the tree huggers, if you would per se, and those who don't care about the environment, or those who put people ahead of nature, as though there's some sort of conflict. The truth of the matter is, and I really am just reasserting what Julian Simon spoke about. He's an economist from the University of Maryland, who was a friend of mine a long time ago. They're not in conflict. What's good for people is good for nature. And we need to have policies that show that if you are able to increase transportation, if you're able to provide jobs, if you're able to provide bountiful energy and people prosper, they do better. It's like the old Chinese proverb. When there's food on the table, there's many problems. When there's no food on the table, there's one problem. Those societies that don't take care of their people don't have the resources to take care of the planet. And it's no surprise that countries like the United States, like much of Europe, Australia, Japan, those that actually have the resources are the ones that are the environmental leaders, and they are the ones being attacked by the Greens, and they want more government regulation, much like the former Soviet Union had, or these command and control countries have, and they have abysmal environmental records. They don't help people, and they don't help nature. And we need to recapture this, have a conservation ethic, not a preservation ethic. A conservation ethic is one in which includes man in the whole scheme of how we protect the planet, versus this preservation, deep green ecology that says somehow man is a virus on the planet and needs to be removed. When we hammer that debate, issue, the environment once again comes back to where it belongs for those of us on the right or the conservatives or libertarians of this world.
And you gave a really awesome example talking about whales and light. Could you tell the viewers what do whales have to do with this discussion?
Well, Julian Simon actually is the one who gave me this. If you were to use the sustainable development arguments that have been used by those on the left for a long time, and we lived 100 years ago, you might be panicked about where we're going to get our lighting from. What did they use 100 years ago? They used whale oil. And if you use the mindset of today's regulators, you'd say, well, there's this many people, the population's grown, we only have this many whales in the world, we're going to run out of lighting. Everybody stop using lighting, or maybe light your homes for a little bit. We got to conserve because we only have so many whales left. Well, that argument is silly because, of course, what the Greens don't take into account is people are not just mouths, they're also hands and a brain. What we need is lighting. Whale oil was just a means to get that, but we have other means to get lighting. And of course, we moved on to electricity. And I think that to me is the same thing we're situated with today. Do we have finite amounts of coal, oil, whatever it is? Absolutely. But what we're seeking is not coal oil any more than we were whale oil. We need electricity and power. And when those resources become scarce, when the price gets high enough, we'll move to nuclear fission or maybe even fusion. But if you allow the market to work, we can reach these objectives. And who knows, our only limits are on our creativity and imagination as to what those sources are in the future.
Very good. And now in Washington, D.C., there's a lot of talk about this Green New Deal. I was wondering, do you have any thoughts on this Green New Deal? Is it a wise idea, a crazy idea, and what's a better alternative if we need one?
You know, it's a horrible idea, and I would honestly say it was not much better than the first New Deal, but I actually think it's more like the Soviet 5-year plans, where you're trying to figure out how much coal we should have in so many years, how much oil. They want to be off fossil fuels within 10 years. That's insane. It's not because we're embracing fossil fuels, but this is a government-driven objective, much like the old Soviet plans were government-driven objectives. It's going to fail. And the problem is it's going to take down a lot of people with it. Not just the jobs. I hear from Cortez, 10 million jobs she's saying that this will impact. But no, we get, 35% of our energy, 35% from fossil fuels, and natural gas is largely what's replacing it. That's also a fossil fuel. We're going to be shelving over half of our energy. This will impact agriculture, food supplies. It'll impact just about every sector of our economy. This is going to really hurt people. And we see a case in point in this is that in Africa, they have like 5% electrification. People suffer. And, we're not going to be able, with what is right now used for renewable energy, to replace this. So people are just going to do without. How are we going to provide, and I thought this was said very well by Patrick Moore, former founder of Greenpeace, who spoke at this conference, how are we going to supply food to the inner cities when we can't bus it in there? Trucks need fossil fuels. Everything needs fossil fuels. So this green plan is a prescription for disaster. We need to let the market drive the technologies of tomorrow, not like Cortez would like us to do and use government to power us into the future.
Mm-hmm. And where do people find more about CFACT?
They can visit us at www.cfact.org.
Wonderful. Craig, thank you so much.